Gentlemen.
Hello.
Boys.
Is there a little nip in the air there in New England?
A little bit. It was cold today.
A little chilly. It's a nice sunny day though.
Yeah. Nice, bright, cold, sunny day.
Mhm.
Yeah, the whole weekend's been like this. Bright and sunny, freezing.
Feels like hockey season.
Ooh, looks like hockey season out there right now.
It does.
Little pond hockey.
Tomorrow it
Yeah.
all begins, baby.
You know what we never touched on? Did you say tomorrow?
Yep.
Because today's Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday, so today's the 12th, so tomorrow's the 13th, and that's when the NHL season begins.
Bruins
Oh,
start
Bruins
Thursday.
start 14th.
14th. Yeah, they start Thursday.
That's what I care about.
But the
Yeah, me
season
too.
starts Thursday.
Shut up, Ray. You know, we never touched on the report that the Bruins were going to play in
Lake
Tahoe.
Placid. They're
It's
playing in
it's
Lake
Placid, right?
They're playing in Lake Placid. I think they got 2 games up there. That's
yeah, they're
awesome.
playing like a little mini tournament.
Yep.
That was Tahoe.
They were talked about Lake Tahoe, but the travel. If you look at their travel, they're only staying in the Eastern Division, like the East Coast. So they're not going to travel to Nevada. So yeah, they're playing. I think there's 2 games in Lake Placid.
I love that. I think that's a great
I love
move.
the outdoor games.
I mean,
Outdoor games are
That's
awesome.
gonna be cool though. Just out in the middle of a fucking lake. That's gonna be awesome.
But they've tried to use those Lake Placid facilities from the Olympics in '84 ever for a bunch of things, but they can't really support the professional athlete. They treat Olympic athletes like dogs. So, but the professional athlete needs to be pampered. So,
Pampered, yeah.
but just sending 1 or 2 or 3 teams in there for a weekend, I think they can get away with it. So yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be
you
cool.
ever see Mystery Alaska?
I love that movie.
Great movie.
Love that movie.
Great movie.
Such
Russell
That's the
Crowe.
final.
Russell Crowe.
That's the final.
Burt Reynolds.
Oh, I might watch that tonight. Yeah, that's the final analysis on that. There, Ray. Have you ever seen it? Great movie.
Yeah, great movie. I liked
You know
it.
what the other fucking thing I asked you guys for some movie recommendations the other day. Bill, Old Guard, fucking spot on. Great movie there on Netflix. I was on
Here
Netflix
we
working.
go.
Ray tells me to watch Greenland.
Greenland.
I go searching for Greenland for like 12 fucking 15 minutes. You have to buy it for like $25. It's one of these that's not out yet.
You
idiot.
actually buy movies?
Yeah, I'm not some schlub that steals shit from China, you commie.
Well, to each his own.
I told you, Old Guard was really fucking good.
Roll Guard's really good. The
Really
only reason
good.
I don't like watching bootleg movies is because the quality always blows.
I get it in HD every time.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to look for like the
Yeah.
best connection. And I hate when it comes
Get
on
better
and then
internet
it's in like
connection,
fucking
bitch tits.
it's in like Chinese with subtitles. Like fuck this. I'm
Fucking
done with this
Chinese.
shit.
Oh, whatever. I like movies.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Thanks for nothing, Ray. That's all I got to say about that.
I'll be buying that for you when it comes out on DVD.
Luckily for us, there will be no time for movies come tomorrow, Ray, as the hockey season starts. Well, it's basically going to be every night.
It's gonna be like
Hockey
playoffs.
and
It's
or
gonna be
basketball.
playoffs until June. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
It's going to be nonstop.
Every other night. I love it.
I don't know if we'll have enough news for headlines, Bill, so we might have to come up with some different Sunday social stuff.
Bruins.
Don't you-
Bruins.
Don't you love those texts? They don't happen as often anymore because I think he's got it through his head. We're not going to skip a day. He was like, not a lot of headlines today, guys. You think maybe we just skip it?
Just watch
No,
this one
Bill.
out.
We're doing the fucking show.
Yeah.
Just drink some coffee. You'll be fine.
Take a cold shower. Wake up. Let's go.
I got an extended absence coming up.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
From us or from life. Welcome to the Simple Mind Sports Show. Fat Tuesday.
Hopefully
Everything
life.
Bruins. January 12th. Welcome to the show. Bill, this is you can't be leaving us right now. This is your season, baby. This is hockey. This is
Just
hockey
a few
guy
days.
Bill.
Gotta recover.
Okay, no problem. He's gonna go MIA. That's fine. I like shows with just me and Ray. It's very calm.
Very calm. No one's making fun of each other's mothers. We're nice
I
conversations.
think I'm only gonna miss one, just the Thursday, because I'm doing it on a Wednesday.
that'd be
so
two.
I'll be there for the Tuesday, and then I
Well-
should be pretty much good to go to record by that Sunday.
That's great. Looking forward to it.
Just pop some biscuits and let's fucking do it. Jesus
Yeah, I'm
Christ.
gonna be on cloud 9 when I'm on here. You want to see my eyes really be fucking squinty? Give me some of those biscuits.
Gentlemen, the Boston Bruins are favored to win the newly formed Eastern Division and whatever their sponsor called
Mass
it.
Mutual.
Mass Mutual Eastern Division. Let's make sure we get that in there. And they are whoever had this is from the Athletic, but they have them as the third best team in the league based on their division, based on their schedules strength. So let's just start it off. Do they deserve that recognition? Are they that good, Bill? What are your expectations of this team? And the statistic to go along with that, this is one of the best divisions, if not the best division in hockey. Every team is expected to have a winning percentage over 513. No other division has over 500. So obviously, we're talking about the Penguins, Flyers, Islanders, Rangers are your biggest competition, all playoff teams. Then the Sabres have made in the Capitals, sorry. And then the Sabres have made some moves, obviously with Taylor Hall. They got Jack Eichel still there. And then the Devils stink. But basically, they've made some strides too. They'll be whatever. I said this when they made this. This is a fucking grind of a division, man. This is a grind. Do they deserve to have that type of recognition going into the season here? What are your expectations, Billy?
Yeah, they should. I mean, I've mentioned this a few times on our show that I expect them. They're the closest Boston team to winning the championship. You're still bringing the core back. You added a nice third line winger, which you desperately needed. I'm expecting DeBrus to be more consistent this year and really help out. The only question marks I really have right now is on defense. You're starting a lot of the rookies. You're starting 3 rookies, and it sounds like Kevin Miller is going to get that last third pairing now over Connor Clifton. So I mean, I think you have a lot of question marks there, but I expect them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I think they're that good. I think it's right there. I know the division is stacked. Like this is the toughest division in hockey right now, but you're better than every single team. You're better. I think you're on paper. You're better than the Flyers. I think you're better than the Penguins. You're going to start a little slow with David Pastrnak out, but he's, Brad Marchand looks like he's questionable to play Thursday now because he left practice early today. But I have high expectation. You're getting Tuukka Rask back healthy. I think this team's one of the best teams in hockey, and I think they showed it last year. They lost to Tampa, but I mean Tampa was vastly superior. But this team, President's Cup trophy winner last year, I expect them to be right up there again.
Raymond, hockey guy Ray.
So basically, what we got mad about in 2019 was the Patriots had such a cupcake season come the playoffs. They just folded because they didn't have any good competition going up. Now you're playing some great competition. Washington's been your Achilles heel year after year. Pittsburgh always has Sidney Crosby and a great core group of guys. The Rangers are young, fast, and an exciting team now. So yeah, it's going to be great competition for them. So come playoff time, at least they're going to be already tested. So I think this is going to be a great test for them going forward into the season. And if they come out as one of the top teams, it's going to be only better things for them come playoff time.
Yeah, I'm lower on them than you guys. I mean, I understand everything you're talking about. President's Trophy winner is nothing to sneeze at. I think a lot of that was motivation that they were riding high on from dropping Game 7 the year before. You kind of saw what this team looked like when they didn't have that motivation in the bubble. When everyone's not clicking absolutely in all cylinders, they can easily be surpassed. You lost Torrey Krug, who was one of your top 4 defensemen. You lost to Daniel Chara, who's been your captain and leader for the past 13, 14 seasons. Bergeron is a year older. Marchand's a year older. Krejci's a year older. So I think if everything works out perfectly the way it's supposed to, DeBrusque takes a leap, Carlo takes a leap, McAvoy takes a leap. What's his face? The right winger they just got, Craig Smith, comes in and does what he's supposed to do. If all those and works well with Coyle and so on and so forth, if all those things work, yeah, they're one of the best teams in hockey. I think there's question marks everywhere. Which gets me into my next question. How bad was this offseason for the Bruins?
Well, you lost Torrey Krug, you lost Daniel Chara. The only big acquisition you had was Craig Smith, like you said. So yeah, I mean, a very quiet season, nothing to help you guys get to the next step and beat like the likes of Tampa Bay, So
on paper, Bill, can you say the Bruins got better this offseason?
No, I think you took a little step back on defense, but I think your offense, is better on paper with adding Craig Smith, and then again the same thing with Studnicka. You're basically adding them for a full season. I mean, I'm hoping Studnicka could take the leap this year and contribute, especially on that third line, because I'm looking at Nick Ritchie right there right now with Coyle and Craig Smith. he cannot skate. He cannot keep up with those two guys. I mean, Coyle and Smith have been booming around the ice, flying everywhere. I think Craig Smith, again, you're hamstrung with your salary cap. You had a lot of guys that you had to re-sign your own guys that ate a lot of your salary cap up. So you couldn't really go in a different direction and get a big money player that we kind of hoped they would, because then you're losing too much with all the guys that you had to re-sign. So, I mean, I think, yeah, C- off season, I would probably put my grade on it. I mean, losing Torrey Krug was huge, but we kind of all had a feeling he was gone anyways. So, I mean,
if you traded, sorry to interrupt you, if you traded a Krejci or a Rask, who I think are your two biggest assets right now, both are on an expiring deal for good money, but both have something to offer to teams that need that position, especially Tuukka, who was considered the best, if not, top 3 goalie last year. Obviously, he has his mental concerns. If you traded one of them and opened up $6 to $7 million in cap space and went out and made a significant move for now and in the future for this team in picking up, a young winger or defenseman, would you consider yourself better?
Yeah, especially Krejci. I mean, he's, again, last year of his deal. You can add. You have your biggest debt, you have the most depth at your center position in the minors in the league right now with Coyle, Krejci, and Bergeron as your top 3. You can move Krejci and get definitely, especially if you look at Rick Nash went a couple years ago, first round pick and a player. I would expect David Krejci to get that haul in return. So, I mean, if you're out on the season, you really think you can trade a guy like that, you go out, you move Krejci, you get that money, and you get a first round pick, then you can kind of dangle that first rounder and see if you can add a different piece. Because I think a winger is what you really need on this team outside of defense. So, I mean, if you can subtract from that center position, again, that's your biggest strength on the team now, because all your defensive guys are up.
My point on that, Bill, is I don't think you have to be out on the season to move David Krejci. I think David Krejci is a guy, especially in the regular season. I mean, he flashed in the first series in the playoffs last year against the Blue Jackets. He had a good first series, and then he kind of disappeared against the Lightning, which he has done 2 years in a row. I don't think you had to be out on the season to move a guy like Krejci. And I think the collection of Boston was out on Tuukka Rask. Now, he might come in and, be the back end that you need him to be, that he's been pretty much his entire career and a steadfast goalie. But he's on the last year of his deal. If you're ever going to get something for him, this is it. Long story short, I was expecting them to make major concrete changes to this team, because I don't think they have what it takes to get to a championship and win it, because I think we saw last year that we don't. I think you guys think differently on that. I think you're a little bit higher than them on them. But I wanted to see a major move, and I think Krejci and Tuukka Rask are 2 easy fucking pieces to start with. And I don't even think they tried. To be honest, I know they didn't try on Krejci. They might have sniffed around on Rask, but
his trade value, he had no trade value. You saw a little bit now with his comments coming out. He answered the media, came right out and said, this is why I left. But I just think that I think it's a little sour taste around the league with him, honestly. I mean, I get it. It's family considerations. No one's going to fault him for leaving if his daughter was really in the hospital and she was really sick. But at the same time, I think the value around the league at $8.5 million that he's going to make $7.5 this year, there's not enough value with the talent on the ice, again, because his butthole puckering up in big moments, and then you see him quitting on the team in the playoffs. I think that's not – I mean, that's looked at down upon in the league in my eyes, and I think that's where you have zero trade value in him.
Yeah. Speaking of butthole, and quest for the butthole tattoo is still on 2021. If the Bruins win a Stanley Cup, Bill will be tattooing a Tuukka Rask tattoo on his butthole, right?
Yeah, that's what the agreement was. Bill pretty much said that the Boston Bruins with Tuukka Rask in net Game 7 would never win a Stanley Cup championship.
Correct. So the bet is forever ongoing. So let's jump ahead here. Let's talk a little bit Tuukka. The press that he had the last week, 2 things stuck out to me. He went into further detail about why he left the bubble. His daughter was rushed in an ambulance. Fine. You know what? If we heard glimpses of that last year when he left the bubble. We didn't want to believe it. Some of us called him a pussy.
Me.
If that was true, then I don't necessarily blame it. Here's the thing. It's all in the context. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to go there. Everything he could do to get out of there is what he hit the fucking red button.
Panic button, yeah. I got COVID.
Literally
on the app, right? The
button.
app, and it started flashing lights and stuff. Yeah, he didn't want to be there from the start.
If he was Brad Marchand, who was like the comments from Brad Martian out of the bubble were like the 1980 Miracle movie type of fucking motivation. If he were that guy, he would have went, made sure his family was okay, and went back, and then he would have quarantined for a week and would have been there in the next series. Tuukka Rask did not want to be there. If he left for real legitimate reasons for his daughter's health, then fine. But we know for a fact he was on the golf course the next day, if not the day after that. So let's cool the jets on the emergency thing. The guy quit. He didn't want to fucking be there. And that's that's his biggest knock. That's his biggest MO, his mental fragility when things get tough. So what is your, and then the other thing that came out is the extension talk. And a lot of people saying it makes sense to extend Tuukka, which I'm kind of 50-50 on, honestly. Like you said, Bill, he's got no trade value. He's not going to get as much. I don't think he shouldn't get as much that he's making right now because of his age and his mental fragility, frankly. So I ask, what's your temperature on Tuukka Rask? Is he still the Bruins' best option, and should they go down with the Tuukka ship?
Hot. But you know why? He should go talk to David Price, because you know why? David Price got eaten up by the media, got eaten up by Boston all the time. Go talk to David Price. Come back. Be like, hey, you want to shut the doubters up? Go win a fucking cup. Go shut them all up. Do that, Tuukka. So, yeah, I think he has a little edge with him right now, maybe a chip on his shoulder. So, yeah, hopefully he comes out hot and proves all the doubters wrong, like Bill.
I don't think he has that type of mentality, right?
We didn't think David Price did either, but he did.
No. But I don't think the Boston media affects Tuukka Rask. I don't think he cares. I think he's cerebral to the point of delusion. Like David Price was affected in a way like a 7-year-old's affected if you take away their candy. Tuukka Rask doesn't give a shit. He's been here for almost 20 fucking years.
Rask isn't
10 years anyway.
06, I think they got him.
Yeah.
Well, Rask isn't threatened to fight the color guys like David Price is on the team plane. That's just way different.
I didn't know where he was going with that either. I didn't know either. I heard that and I was like,
I had a half second if that was going to be the biggest beep in show history, and then I realized you were talking about the media guys.
When you said media guys, you said color guys. I didn't know if you were going back to your 1970 roots, colors only kind of thing. So yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that.
I was just trying to backcheck. I'm like, what did I just say?
No, it was just a half a second, only because it's you. If someone else said it, I would have not that twice. But you tend to make us pay attention from time to time. That would have been a fucking doozy, though. I'll tell you. I might have to beep it. I might have to beep it just for the aftermath here. Yeah. So,
anyway. My temperature. He's your best option going forward. You saw the guys. Vladar is not ready. And the other guy they just signed for the minors won the Mike Richter Award as the best goalie in college. He's not ready. There's still a couple years already. You saw Dan Vladar in the playoffs was just thrown in there, and he's not ready. So, I mean, going forward, the next couple years, I expect them to be ready in maybe 2 or 3 years. So going forward, I'm not opposed to a 2-3 year extension at half of what you're making now. The talent's still there. Mentally, it's not there, but the talent on the ice is there. He's still one of the best goalies in the league. As much as I think he's never going to win a Stanley Cup with them because he's too fragile of a player mentally, he's the best option the Bruins have because Halak is not a starting goalie. He's a great backup for this team in limited times. He's good splitting games up with Rask, but you showed it in the playoffs. He is not a full-time goalie. And Rask going forward, he's your best option in the organization right now. Let him be on this roster. Halak's gone at the end of this year. He'd probably retire. He's 36. He's getting up there in age. He doesn't have it much anymore. So the young guys, they're not ready. So if you can bridge Tuukka Rask the next 2-3 years, get one of these guys up, at least contributing a backup in the Halak role right now, this is what you need. I'm all for signing Rask. As much as I fucking hate him mentally, I mean, he's your best talent in the organization going forward too.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, he's a hard player to root for as a Boston fan because he does not epitomize what we want in our athletes.
He's a baby back bitch. My kid went to the hospital.
Oh, Jesus.
There's a beep.
Here we go.
How's that a beep?
It's not a beep. It's just not going to go over very well. It's a little bit of a conundrum because you don't want to throw, a goalie can very easily lose you a lot of fucking games, and Tuukka Rask very easily helps you win a lot of games, especially with a young D-core in front of him now that are going to need to be bailed out more often than, probably the D-core in the past, especially with Chara kind of holding things down. It makes sense. I just wish that there was something else, I wish the young kid was ready. They could dump that salary, go invest it in the D-core and some more young wingers, and be really ready to move on once Bergeron specifically is kind of past.
Yes, Jeremy Swayman's the one you want to hit. He's the one. It's his first pro year. Now he just came over from the collegiate level. He's the guy. He's got the most hype, and he's the one closest. He's probably more ready than Vladar is, but he's the guy that should be your franchise goalie moving forward. I mean, he was the best one in college last year. Excuse me. So, I mean, he could be ready next year, but if he's not, again, he'd be perfect to pair with Rask. Let him lead, let him learn under the veteran. He's been a perfect pro outside of the pooping your pants before the season finale and 2 goals and 4 shots in game 7. But I mean, other than that,
yeah. And based on if we're basing anything on last year's playoff performance, Dan Vladar is never going to be ready for the NHL.
No.
I know it's hard to do that, especially in those circumstances, but you can eye test. You look at a guy, he was flopping all over the place. He had no fundamentals in there. He was either a mental basket case or just isn't good at playing the position.
Well, it was also a no-win situation. Sorry, Rich, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, but
he was in a no-win, but
I get it,
he's
Phil,
not ready. He's
just
not
look
even
at the
close.
way he played in a vacuum. It's like Cam Newton was surrounded by nothing, but in a vacuum, look at how he throws the ball. He can't. In a vacuum, look at how Dan Vladar plays the goalie position. It's atrocious.
And the one thing that's going to hurt these guys too, and another thing with the goalie depth in the organization, they're not certain to have an AHL season this year. So the Providence Bruins are scheduled to start in February, but it's not 100%. You've seen 4 teams, I believe, cancel their AHL seasons already. So I mean, you see these numbers going up, and you see what's happening with the NBA. Once hockey starts, you could start seeing the same shit. So I mean, if you got these 2 guys that aren't playing games in Providence, again, you're gonna send them back another year or 2. So I mean, you need Tuukka to be healthy the next couple of years and still play at a high level, because your future moving forward in the goalie position is dependent on basically Tuukka Rask. And I hate to say it, but this is now. You have to re-sign him. I think cheaper money, and hope that he plays at a big level. And then even if he switches in a backup role, if Swayman gets ready in 2 years, so be it.
So let's talk strengths and weaknesses. We've kind of hit on them a little bit, but let's hash them out a little bit more. So strengths of this team is obviously your forward play, I think, unless you have a different opinion there.
I think your goalie position. I mean, you led the league in goals against average last year with Halaki and Tuukka Rask. I think right now, outside the defensive position that you just got weaker on, goalies right up there is probably your biggest strength, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, they might go hand in hand. I think that you could be argued to be in a top 3, top 5, ranking when it comes to your forwards. You got a top 9 forward roster that will rival most teams in the league. So, but that being said, are you concerned with Bergeron, Krejci, Marchand, even who's 31? And, on the goalie aspect, Tuukka is in his mid-30s, Halak in his late 30s. They're, the strength of your team are in those guys, minus, maybe a Coyle and a McAvoy, and they're all up there in age. So does that make you nervous a little bit?
A little bit, especially when it comes to Bergeron, but I think The Athletic this week had a great article on him being named the captain. In Bruce Cassidy once he took over, he started taking Bergeron out of a lot of high leverage situations on the defensive end, and you saw his offensive production kind of skyrocket after Cassidy came in, because if you remember with Claude, he was always defensive, and all those. That's how you're going to get a guy beat up. That's how your guy's getting broken ribs, punctured lungs, and you're putting him on those high level situations. Cassidy's taking him back. He's stepping him back. You're seeing him play less minutes in the third period, especially with games out of hand. So they're doing a good job, and I think you're going to see it more this year with the older guys. You're going to see a pretty good rotation with Halak and Tuukka Rask in the net. I mean, again, you're playing 56 games in 104 days, so you're going to see. I don't expect Bergeron to play more than 45 games. Honestly, I think you're going to see that. Just make the playoffs again. I don't think, especially now without fans, I don't think home ice advantage in the playoffs is as big now without fans as it would be in different years. So I think you just get in the playoffs, get hot, get healthy at the right time. And I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, they're going to limit some of these old guys' productions in minutes.
Raymond?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Bill. I mean, the erection line is probably the best line you have in hockey. Well, top 3 at least, but like you said, they're getting up in there in age. Just get to the playoffs. That's all you need to do. Give these guys the breaks they need, limit their time. Bergeron, Marchand, Krejci, Pass is going to come back healthy, probably end of January. They're saying his time frame went up a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be healthy coming. You just got to make it to the playoffs, and then no holds barred. You can just do what you need to do.
There's DeBrusque and Koshik. How much are you expecting out of them? What we saw flashes of the skill Koshik brings to the ice. We didn't see him finish. I don't, I don't know. He's young. He doesn't have that much of a track record, and I don't know enough about his time before the Bruins to really know that part of his game. And I'm talking about finishing it and burying goals, but the skill and speed and physicality and strength, all that was on display. He really impressed me, and he's got a guy on the other side, DeBrusque, that has the same type of game. I think they both just couldn't finish to save their goddamn lives in the playoffs last year. And then you got a Krejci who is in the same boat as Bergeron. You should expect him up and down in limited minutes too, right? So those guys are going to play with Coyle a lot too, I expect. So I don't, the expectations, like you said, Bill, DeBrusque has to make that step, and Sam Akashik, I think both young kids got to really make the next move.
Yeah, you're kind of dependent on it too, because again, I've been preaching this since we started the show, the secondary scoring, and you've been lacking on that second line with Krejci. DeBrusque is just too hit or miss. I expect him to make the jump this year. I expect him to get up 25, 30 goals, especially with the shortened season. So if he can get 20 goals, I think in 56 games, that's a win. That's a big jump for them. You saw a little bit of his scoring in the playoffs. Again, you could see the talents there, but the finishing, if he can learn to finish this year, this team's going to go places, because then you're getting more consistency out of that second line, which is huge. You've seen it more at times with Charlie Coyle on the third line really take up that production on the second line, and you need Krejci to center that second line, and that's the most important line to me in on the Bruins, is that second line with Krejci. Because if Andre Koshik, he got pushed around a lot in the playoffs. You saw him move from the second to the fourth line. The finishing isn't there. He's still young. He's kind of a pussy. He's got a lot of injury histories. He came in, I think he was a first-round draft pick for Anaheim, but he hasn't lived up to the hype. He's supposed to be a goal scorer, and you haven't seen it yet. Yeah, he played like 12 games, 13 games, and scored once. I think he's got 3 assists in that time. So you really need
sorry to interrupt you, but I thought he was throwing his weight around pretty good in the playoffs last year. I mean, I know that he got
He reminded me a little bit.
I know that he got dominant a little bit. Yeah, because he's his body control is a little bit all out there because he moves so fast. But in terms of throwing himself in on the forecheck, and you saw him on the back check making a couple plays too. Yeah, he gets bodied sometimes, especially in open ice, just because I think he's trying to maybe do a little bit too much. But I know that the MO on him was what you were talking about, but maybe it was just the expectations. I thought he was okay throwing his weight around last year in the playoffs. At least we didn't see him in the regular season.
I just expect more out of him. You need it. You need that line to click, because I'm actually not worried about the Craig Smith and Charlie Coyle line. I think you'll plug anybody. I expect Stadnicka to slide in there and Nick Ritchie to be in fucking the ninth floor. But I think, again, that second line is the most important line. You need them. You need that scoring, because the first line, Marchand's going to be banged up for a little while entering the season, and Pastrnak, you don't know what you're going to get out of him when he comes back. You need that second line to produce. You need it. You need it, because 5-on-5 play, it hasn't been a strength for this team in many years. Their power play is the number one power play in all of hockey for a reason, because they're fucking deadly. But if you're not clicking there and you're not getting that 5-on-5 scoring, this team's going to struggle. So this second line is the most important line on this team, in my opinion.
Right, and don't forget Krug's gone, so expect that power play to at least take a blip to start.
Matt Grzelcyk's going to slide over there in the number one power play right now, and then you got McAvoy on the number 2 line.
Yeah, well, Matt Grzelcyk is not Torrey Krug, so expect that to take a blip at least to start the season until they start to find their own. And obviously, you're not going to have Pasta on that power play either. So, to your point, you're gonna need more 5-on-5, especially from those secondary lines. If you want to hash out the forward play just a little bit more, Corrali's still there on the fourth line, Wagner's still there. Yeah. That's your hustle line, that's your penalty killing line. We like Corrali. We know what Corrali can do. He could probably play third line minutes, but they like him there on the fourth. Nick Ritchie is a bum, although they said he had a pretty decent camp.
Don't tell Ty Anderson that.
He didn't like that.
He didn't
look good in camp, but he is not. Like he just in the playoffs he was terrible. He looks like he's skating with 2 lead feet. Looks like Ray's fat ass on ice.
I just think the game's too fast for that type of player in this day and age. Which leads to Bjork, who the game might be too small for what's going on in his skill set right now.
When he was at
Notre Dame, like he was
fatter than him,
a scorer, right? And now he can't score. So yeah. He might not see a lot of time in this lineup anymore. I think his best days are behind him. I think Bjork.
You're going to see him. Young. Injuries are going to happen. Stadnicka's got to got to spark and got to click. If he doesn't, then those are the guys that you're gonna have to fill in because that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You have some young guys coming up. We'll see. I don't know what the COVID protocol is in that. Like you said, the AHL might not happen. We'll see what they're allowed to do. Expanding rosters for the NHL. You might see some young guys come up and fill some role if they need it. But yeah, shit, they're top 9, man. They're right up there in the NHL as the best forward group. Their D pairs are not. Obviously, lots and lots in question marks. Charlie McAvoy, he's a question mark for me, honestly. Let's see what he looks like without Chara. Let's see if they unleash him. Can he be 25, 28 minutes a night in a truncated season? He's 23. Like he should be playing. He should be playing PK. He should be playing power play. He should be playing 5-on-5. He should be doing everything. And the kid's a stud. Defensively, he's a stud. I'd like to see his offensive game bump up to the next level and start to see that point production and goal production, honestly, bump up there. And if he gets more power play minutes, that should, right?
Well, he's more on the number 2 line, and Cassidy rolls that first line out for more than a minute, and especially if you see their, zone time, first power play is disgusting. So, I mean, if you see Grzelcyk struggle there on that first unit, you might see McAvoy go in there, but they really like him on the number 2 line. So I think you'll see him get up to that probably 25-minute mark, especially without Chara, because remember, they were trying to hide Chara a lot, and they were the number 1 pair. You're seeing him pair with a rookie. I think Jeremy Lauzon has been up there right now, so you kind of see it's going to be a little bit of a question mark, but he's got to be that leader now. I mean, he's probably the longest tenured Bruin right now outside of Kevin Miller. So, I mean, he's got to be the leader in that D-core. You're the number 1 guy. You're going to play number 1 minutes. We need to see it. I'm okay without the offensive production, but we really need to see him step up on his D production. You know what I mean? That's the biggest question mark for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not okay. And I don't know if I'm okay going with your sentiment about what they feel about the first power play, because Torrey Krug is a gigantic part of that. I mean, the guy racked up points on that power play, and it's the reason he got the contract that he did.
Grzelcyk's not that bad though. He's pretty.
I know he's not that bad, but he's not Krug. I'm kind of jumping off this sentiment that Matt Grzelcyk is Torrey Krug and is just going to fill right in. That's not true. It's not. Like, come on. Is he 80%? Probably not. I don't even think he's 80% of Torrey Krug. Torrey Krug is an excellent offensive defensive player. So that which brings me back to I don't necessarily think that they are going to love McAvoy on the second line the way that they did. They might want him on the first line. And if he can provide the same things or similar things than Krug was doing, then why not? Like, he's 22 years old. Fucking play him 30 minutes a night. It's a short season. They need him. Let's go. You're supposed to be the guy, McAvoy. You're supposed to be the guy. So now's your time. I think now's your time.
Yeah, I'd like to see him up there, and especially come playoff time. I don't want to see him come off the ice at all.
Never. I mean, think about Chara. Think about Chara in his prime. Never.
Well, if you go back to 2011, him and Dennis Seidenberg were on the ice for almost 30 minutes a game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? His biggest strength would be on the penalty kill. That's where we need him. You need him out every penalty kill. That's where you need him, because he is your best defenseman. I think Kevin Miller, he hasn't played in 2 months. He's your second, third best guy behind Carlo. So you need McAvoy to rack up penalty kill minutes, because that's where he needs to pick up for the production for Zdeno Chara is the penalty kill.
Ray, what do you think? So the young guys got Vakanainen, Lauzon, Zobril, who is So biggest surprise would be the biggest surprise in this team, Ray, be one of, or cross our fingers, 2 of these young guys stepping up and being serviceable defensemen for the Bruins.
Yeah, I put down McAvoy. I mean, now you have Chara not handcuffing you, and you're not pulling double duties. Let's see what this kid has. Maybe he should be the biggest surprise of the season for us. Not being handicapped anymore. Going out there playing his game now instead of worrying about what the 40-year-old old man's doing back there and trying to help that out. So yeah, I think McAvoy is going to be the surprise of the season for us.
Ray fucking hates Chara.
I do.
Now he gets to root for him in the Capitals.
I know.
Yeah, you're loser city.
Uh-huh.
Good luck.
Yeah,
thanks.
Good luck with that. I'm interested and exciting to see. And now this may backfire on me. This may become a Patriots take where I was interested and exciting to see a Patriots team have to kind of struggle for regular season wins. That sucked. I don't want to do that anymore. So me saying I'm interested and excited to see these young defensemen and what they can do, that might backfire because they might fucking blow.
Yep.
They might blow. However, we've seen Lauzon. He's a stiff, Bill. They're talking high on Vakanainen, and they've been talking high on Vakanainen for years. And I think Zobril.
Well, Vakanainen, the hype, he was a 2018, 2017 first round pick. Zobril and fucking who's the other guy? Or Lauzon, first round draft picks of that fucking shitty draft. DeBrusque and those two went 3 straight picks, and you need it. I mean, that started your drafting woes. These guys are supposed to be contributing in the NHL right now. You're seeing what you're getting out of Jake DeBrusque. I know it hasn't been awesome, but he's still scoring 20 goals. You need these guys to hit. You're seeing it. Now's the time when you're losing Chara.
Sorry to interrupt you. Let me ask you something. If you have Charlie McAvoy, Matt Grzelcyk, Brandon Carlo, Kevin Miller, Connor Clifton, and the corpse of John Moore, that's 6. You got Vakanainen, Zobril, and Lauzon as the 3 young guys. If one of those guys is top 4, can play top 4 minutes, are you in good shape?
Yeah, you are.
Clifton, I don't think is a regular D-man, but when he comes in,
he lost out to Kevin Miller.
He provides a spark. I understand that, but you're not gonna. I don't have expectations that 2 of the young guys are gonna make it, right? So between John Moore and Clifton, I would expect to see them play more. They're gonna get minutes. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be Lauzon and Vakanainen paired up with Carlo.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Kevin
if
Miller
you're getting,
all year long.
You're in trouble if you're getting a lot of minutes out of John Moore. Put it that way.
But
he
I
should not see the ice. But if he's playing 30, 40 games, this team's in trouble.
Right. But if Connor Clifton, if he's splitting some time with one of the young guys down in the third pairing with Kevin Miller, I think that's your best case scenario. Because your best case scenario is all 3 of the guys hit somehow. The realistic scenario is 2 of the guys hit, and one of them can play bottom 6 pairing with Kevin Miller. I honestly don't. Let's say that can't happen. Just one of these guys can pair next to Brendan Carlo and be serviceable. If Clifton and one of the young kids can get next to Kevin Miller and Kevin Miller can stay healthy all year, I think that's a realistic best case scenario that you can look at.
Yeah, you need it. Clifton's more your right shot, so where Kevin Miller is, that's where Clifton lost out. You're going to see him play some games, but Miller's going to start. It looks like on that third pair, but yeah, you need one of those rookies in that left shot. You're weakest on your left shot defenseman, and you need one of these guys to hit, because that's why you saw Ben Hutton rumors there. They're still searching for a D pairing, a left shot defenseman in trades, signings, anything, because they know that you're weak there. You lost 2 left side defensemen now, and you're weak. You need one of these guys to hit. You need one, because again, John Moore and Connor Clifton are not everyday players for this team. And if these 2 rookies don't hit, you're fucked. You are fucked. You're trying to trade for another. You're trying to trade for a left shot defenseman, and you're sorry.
Parking lot. I mean, driveway.
Shit. The hose are in the parking lot. Driveway.
I just thought it was gunshots, but I think it's fireworks.
It's definitely gunshots. That's all right.
It's January 10th.
Click clack here in a minute.
We got to load up there, Bill. We got to go anyway. Very quickly, give me your final predictions. I'll go first. I think they're a second round exit. I'm sorry, I just do. I think they're a second round exit like they were this past year. Raymond?
Wax your butthole, Bill, because it's happening. Stanley Cup champion.
Quest for the butt. I'll tell too. He's selling out. Bill?
I think they're going to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think their deficiencies are going to come up and get them. I think
they're what?
Deficiencies.
Thank you.
I didn't touch on it all show, but he's at a couple little.
That one was the worst, though.
He's at a couple Mai Tai blurps throughout the show there.
I don't do words well. Eastern Conference Finals. That's where the team's going.
Excellent. Well, all right. Load them up, Bill. We're done. This has been the Silver Mind Sports Show, Fat Tuesday edition. Everything Bruins, January 12th. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Uh-oh. Bill's strapping now, baby. Look
Queen's
out.
Landing is under attack.
Gotta go strap up.
Those Tinder whores want their money back.
I guess so.
What is your return policy, Bill? Ooh, look at
Customer's
this.
always
fucking
right.
guy.
I know.
Sorry, that hat. My head's fat and
Coming
that
straight
hurt.
up.
That has to get beeped.